The first time I noticed him, it was just a fleeting moment in the crowded hallway of my high school. He stood by the lockers, his face partially hidden behind a hoodie. His eyes, however, were fixed on me. I didn't think much of it. High school is full of people who stare a little too long. But then it started happening everywhere. In the cafeteria, he would sit at a table that gave him a direct view of where I usually sat. During gym, I'd catch glimpses of him loitering near the bleachers, always pretending to be preoccupied when I looked his way. First, I thought it was a coincidence. It had to be. But the feeling of being watched became too persistent to ignore. One day, after school, I stayed late to work on a project in the library. When I finally packed up and left, the halls were eerily empty, the fluorescent lights casting cold shadows. As I walked to my locker, I heard footsteps echo behind me. They stopped when I stopped. My heart raced. I turned quickly, but the hallway was empty. I grabbed my things in a rush and headed for the exit. That's when I saw him standing at the far end of the hallway, watching. He didn't move, didn't say a word. He just stood there. I bolted out of the school, my pulse hammering in my ears. The next few days were unbearable. He appeared in my peripheral vision during class, lingered near my locker, and even seemed to know where I hung out after school. I told my friends, but they brushed it off as paranoia. He's probably just shy, they said. But I knew it was more than that. Then came the night of the school dance. I decided to go, hoping the crowd and music would drown out the anxiety that had been consuming me. For a while, it worked. I laughed with friends, danced, and almost forgot about him. Almost. As the night wore on, I felt it again, the sensation of being watched. I scanned the room and saw him in the corner, partially obscured by the decorations. He wasn't dancing, wasn't talking to anyone, just watching. I tried to ignore it, but it felt like his gaze was burning into me. When the dance ended, I walked to the parking lot with my friends. They offered to give me a ride, but I insisted I was fine. My house wasn't far, and I wanted to clear my head. The streets were quiet as I made my way home. Too quiet. I heard footsteps again, soft and deliberate, matching my pace. My stomach twisted with fear. I turned a corner sharply, hoping to lose whoever was behind me, but the footsteps quickened. I broke into a run. My heart pounded as I zigzagged through side streets, finally reaching my house. I fumbled with my keys, glancing over my shoulder. The street was empty. I locked the door and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. That's when I noticed something on the floor. A folded piece of paper, just inside the door. My hands trembled as I opened it. "I like watching you," it read, in messy handwriting. The police were called, but there was little they could do without proof of who it was. I never saw him in school again after that night, but the damage was done. The feeling of being watched never truly went away, and every shadow, every creak of a floorboard, felt like a reminder that he could still be out there.